Hey everybody, it's another praise report. And this is only by the hands of God. So lately, I have been praying for a lot of people. And things I've been saying is, Lord, send whoever needs to be sent in the direction and in the path of my loved ones and all those that I come in contact with. And let someone minister to them or speak to them in a way that resonates with them. And that they can clearly know that is from you. Well, today, my future daughter-in-law, who, if Lord willing, we're still here, their wedding is this coming Sunday at 4:30. It's been a long haul of praying and planting seeds and just stepping back and saying, Lord, you move. And they're yours. I give them to you, but I'm going to pray for them every day and let you intercede in their life. And I'll just keep guiding and gently speaking and loving them as you would have me do. Well, she sent me a TikTok this morning, and she sent me the emojis of crying faces. And anyway, I listened to it. It's basically the Lord giving me a message too of what I've been praying for. The crazy thing is not probably 10 minutes before this happened, me and my youngest sat here and we prayed that exact prayer that I just spoke to you about. But anyway, the video of the TikTok was about a young girl who had been an addict for many years, had a child, a boy, lost her baby. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lord, I'm not sure. Anyway, she had a baby. Sorry if I'm wrong on this, but it's still, I gotta tell it. So, anyway, she was on her luck, and she'd been in and out of rehab, and she needed food. And she was crying, and she was on her back porch, and she said, God, you just sat here and watched me go through life, all the things I've gone through. I don't understand it. I don't know why I'm where I'm at in my life, but if you hear me, send someone today to let me know that you hear me. Whew. So she got to the food stamp office, and I'm going to share that TikTok today later on my TikTok. But she got to the food stamp office, and she was out in the waiting room for a while, and finally a lady come over to her, and she says, I am so sorry for your long wait. There's just been a lot of things going on, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. So she waited a little longer, and she said a woman came out to her with long hair and a long skirt on, no makeup on. I don't know what the word she used, but anyway, she called her back there, and she said she was, typing in on the computer her name, her address, and things. And she said all of a sudden, she looked to the side, and she said, yes, Lord, I hear you. Okay. And she said she turned and faced her, and she said, honey, the Lord wants me to tell you, He hears you. And He's right here with you. He's always been with you, and He loves you. And He's walking this life out with you. And He just needs you. Anyway, I'm going to play the TikTok later on. I'm going to put it on my post. But, on my community page later. So, then a little bit later, my daughter calls me. And yesterday, I got upset. I had a rough time. My mom and dad are really bad off with their memory. And the night before, I had asked my husband, I said, I just haven't been starting off my days like I should. I said, tomorrow I'm going to set my alarm and I want to get up before all the kids get up and all the chaos begins in my day. And I just want to spend time in my word. I want to listen to some worship music. And I want to read my word. And I want to spend time with my Father. Because I try to spend time when I can, but it's so hard with all the kids running around. But anyway, so I set my alarm. And I rolled over. And for some reason, I just got up. I was so excited to do what I wanted to do, you know. So I shut my alarm off. And I went in and I sat down and I opened my Bible. Well, some of the kids had already woke up, but not all of them were woke up. And my husband was getting ready to leave for work. So I thought, I'll let them get out of here. And surely my husband, knows. And then I'll have my quiet time. So I wait patiently, telling them all I love them. And still had 3 of them at home. And I had later that day to take one of our boys to the doctor. And the insurance had been canceled. We'd been fighting that battle, and we just got insurance back. And so I was finally getting to go take him to go get his arm looked at. That I had gotten injured on Memorial Day at the park. We had a picnic. But anyway, my husband didn't remember, and he hollered for the kids to get up. And I said, baby, what are you doing? He says, well, you got that doctor's appointment you got to get to, and they need to eat breakfast. Well, I was upset. I didn't say much. I went in and I made breakfast for them. And then I got a phone call because I had told my dad the night before, trying to remind him. And I often remind him quite a bit, but he doesn't remember. And as we age, sometimes our attitudes, unfortunately, can become irritable. I have a problem with irritability. Pray for me on that. But anyway, I'm not perfect. But anyway, I'm trying to get better with the Lord's help, God willing. But anyway, I called him the night before and was telling him, reminding them about my son's wedding coming up because they had asked him to officiate it. Because my dad does weddings, and he used to officiate, or a lot of them, and he used to preach. So there goes my church upbringing, right? So, and train up a child in the ways of the Lord, and he will never depart. So anyway, I called him, and now mind you, my dad has a hot rod. I've shared it with Timber Creek from Strength Ministries, Mark, your buddy. But anyway, on one side, it's a big 1940 Ford sedan, and it's bright yellow. And on one side, he's got painted the 3 crosses. And on the other side, where the goes like that before the trunk, he has the stone rolled away with the tomb. And it says he's risen. And on the back side, just above the bumper, there is the words, the Rev. So my dad goes around to car shows and passes out tracts and Bibles, because he's also a Gideon. So Anyway, he really likes to go to his car shows. And he's been pretty under the weather a lot, so he kind of missed quite a few of them last year, and they're on a budget. They're, low income budget, so he has to watch what he spends. Well, his car's been in and out of the shop, so he hasn't been able to go. Well, summer's coming, so these car shows are all popping up. So I called him to remind him of the wedding, and he got upset with me because he can't remember, and it's not his fault, but it still hurt my heart, And he was like, well, that means I can't go to the car show Sunday after church because I've got to go do this now. I wish people would tell me because he can't remember, you see. But it hurt. And so I had that on after I wasn't able to spend time with the Lord yesterday. So my day started off really bad. But when there is bad, he brings joy, right? And so I've shared just some of my joy already, but anyway, so he left, and this morning I got up, and he knew, so I read my Bible, and I was praying, and me and the youngest one prayed after she got done with breakfast, and I started praying before I even got out of bed. I said, Lord, if this doesn't go as well as planned today, no, I'm thinking of you first before I even put my feet on the ground. And I covered myself in the armor, and I prayed beside my bed after I got up and did business, as we always do when we get up in the morning. Sorry, it might be TMI, but anyway, I prayed there right in my bed, kneeling on my knees and beside my bed, prayed, covered myself, and I come out here, and of course, the littlest one got up shortly after I got up, so I made her breakfast, and I came in here, was reading him a word, and I got that message from, like I said, the one that's getting married this weekend, and that was a blessing to me because we had just prayed, basically that prayer. And if you've ever listened to my crazy story about the chickens and how I asked about the darkness, and I said, Lord, send a message to me in only a way I would understand it is from you, and he did. So anyway, I know this message is getting long, so stay with me. As Candy always says, I love you. I truly do. And I love all my Watchmen brothers and sisters. I truly do. And if I've wronged or hurt any of you, I'm sorry. The Lord's really been working on me, and I'm putting that in there because I think I offended some of you, and I'm sorry. It was just the enemy, playing at me, and I'm sorry. This is my way of saying, please forgive me. I love you, and you've taught me a lot. Just don't give up on me. Be patient with me like my Father is, because I'm a work in progress, just like any of you. We won't be made perfect till He makes us perfect in the end on this walk and this journey. But anyway, one more praise report for you. My daughter called me because things have been tight, and like I said, she reached out to her local food banks because over where she lives in Bloomington, Indiana, it's really hard to get into them. You have to have a scan code. You have to qualify. You have to have certain things before they'll let you just in. You have to have a pin to get in the door. Well, she reached out and she said, I lost my job to bad choices I made. And I have been in jail for bad choices. And I'm making all my wrongs right. And the Lord's working on me. But we're in a really tight spot. And I know you have to show that you have food stamps and all this other stuff. She says, I don't have food stamps. But we're just really short and we got lots of bills. And I really need to feed my 2 girls. And she said, I'm stepping out in faith that this letter finds whoever it needs, that I might be able to come and get some food. And I'm laying down all my pride and I'm coming humbly because I really need help. A lot of us around are struggling. and I just need to feed them. And she said a lot of other things, and she's supposed to send me those things because I think the testimony of it needs to go out. But that lady reached out to her and gave her such an amazing, amazing message. And I don't know who you are, but Lord bless them, because it ministered to my daughter. And the Lord's working mightily in my children because I have stepped back. I sow the seeds and I let Him do the increase. And He is doing a wonderful increase. But my son-in-law, the one that's married to my daughter, reached out to me yesterday and asked me a little bit about marriage and reading the Bible together, and if it's important, and how often should we be committed to reading God's Word. Well, he opened the door and I walked right in. Sorry. I just wiped my snot on my shirt because I'm not this itty bitty yee person. Okay, I love the Lord and I'm humble. Just a flesh person like everybody else, fighting it every day. But anyway, everybody calls me crazy and silly and funny, and I just am. I don't care. I don't care what you think of me. I know there's only one right there, up there, that I care what thinks about me, and He's the one I fear. Fear is the beginning of wisdom. But anyway, he messaged me, and I told him about in a marriage and that you put God first. And I told him I would share with him some pictures and some links and some things after I talked to him. But I told him, I said, I don't know if you're familiar with the scripture in the part in the Bible where it talks about the yoke. I said, I don't even know if you know what a yoke is. But I said, when you're in a marriage, it is good to be equally yoked, Tyler. I said, one can not be above the other. I said, you need to work together as a team. And when one thinks they're higher and mightier than the other and they're talking down at the other one, it's not good either. I said, you guys need to both put God first. And I spoke to him about, prayer is a mighty tool that the Lord above gave us, that we fight our battles with prayer. And we speak to God, and He answers, and He sees them. And I gave him Psalms 144, verse 1, where He teaches our hands and our fingers to war and fight. And then I sent him a bunch of links on binding and loosening and removing things out of our life and asking God to remove certain things, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the spirits of this world, the evil entities and things. And I said, and they influence us, and they can't have what's inside, so they try to steal all our joy, our peace, our all the good stuff that the Lord pours into us. And so when we pour out, He pours back into us when we share with others our wisdom that the Lord has given us. And so I gave him a lot of insight, and prayed for him when I messaged him. And anyway, last night I was sitting here after dinner was done and the evening was done, and she sends me a picture, my daughter does, and she had made chicken pot pie, and she made it in pie forms, and she cut a cross on it, like how we event it. She cut a cross in it, and then she cut out the word Psalms 144:1. And I was like, when I seen the picture, she didn't say anything with it. I hearted it and I said, did you talk to Tyler today? And of course she said, no. Why? And I said, that's weird. So I messaged Tyler and I said, Tyler, have you talked to my daughter today? Well, he never answered me back. So she called me and I said, did you talk to Tyler? She says, I have now, Mom. And I just kind of shared a little bit with her, and Tyler shared with her, and to this moment, he still has not messaged me back because my daughter says he's just floored. And knowing that I have been praying for this, and how He has blessed me with these little revelations of how He's moving and working in my family and my children's life and people that I'm praying for is amazing to me. Don't ever stop praying for your loved ones. And He is moving through people, through us, through so many things. He's always speaking if you'll just listen. And the fact of the matter is also in that TikTok, I forgot, the lady told her that if she would slow down, get in His Word and spend time with Him, she would be able to hear Him speak to her. So that just rounded that story up complete. And I just wanted to share that with you and encourage you today. I love y'all, and God bless. Bye.